Hi, welcome to tutorial number 3. My name is Tomantos, and today I'm going to show you guys examples from film that I've been working on recently. And here's actually this little sequence that we're going to work on.
How about you guys?
Um, it was amazing.
Really?
Yeah, Doug picked me up in a taxi, went up for a romantic dinner, and then we wandered the city.
So just to give you a little background information, this is a pretty low budget film. So I decided to basically use this new camera that came out from Canon called Canon 7D. It's basically a digital SLR, but it shoots video too, and it has pretty much the same image size sensor as like a 35mm film. It's good in low light situations. It has some negative things about it, but in general, it's a if you're working on a budget, it's a pretty good camera to use. And actually, one of the things that I really loved about the camera is the fact that it is so small that you can just quickly grab it, and you don't really need a director's viewfinder anymore. You can just pretty much grab the camera itself and walk around with it and pick your shots out. So as you can see here for this restaurant scene, I was kind of limited by the size of the restaurant itself. It was actually our original location fell through, and we were basically ended up with our backup location, which is fairly simple. There's only actually I think 4 or 3 tables in there at the location, and it's actually pretty small. So but I had to make it feel like it's like it's filled in. Well, not filled in, but I had to make it feel like it's an actual restaurant. Like there's a few more tables and stuff like that. So the way that I went about it is first for the wide shot, I wanted to quickly establish our 2 characters sitting at a table and just show a few people around them before I cut to the close-ups. And here you can see me just sort of walking around with the camera, just handheld, and just kind of trying to pick my shot. I know I'm gonna end up on an actual dolly for the final shot, so I'm kind of just replicating that with the camera moves here. And this was on I think it was an 85mm lens. Then I switched to a 24mm lens up here, and that right away looked a bit better. So I kind of decided that this was going to be my wide shot. Now here I actually put the camera already on a dolly, and I had one of the tables there in the background that kind of moved further away. It was actually right up against the walls. There wasn't a lot of space there. But since I knew the camera was going to be so low and you won't actually be able to see all those details there, I can kind of fake it and make it look like there's actually a lot more space there by squeezing one person at the table. And instead, for our 2 main characters, I had this tiny little table we brought in. We dressed it up, and we put it right in the middle of where of this actual restaurant. And I had the actor kind of walk through the scene and just go through it. And here you can actually see the final lit scene with all the extras sitting in there. And as far as the lighting setup, it's pretty straightforward. What I did is I turned off all the lights pretty much in the restaurant. There was a lot of these fluorescent lights up at the ceilings. I turned all of those off, and I just left that little light there that's on the wall. That's like a practical 60-watt light bulb, which gave a little bit of light, but not much. And then I actually lit the scene with one fairly big softbox. I think it was like a 36 inch 500-watt light bank, and I put that just behind, basically just to the left of the camera. Then I added a simple 65-watt fluorescent light to the right side of the camera behind that woman over there. And that kind of just gives you, it almost acts as a little like a rim light slash hair light slash, it just because the color temperature of that light is quite a bit different from the tungsten key light that I was using. It gives you a feeling of like this maybe blue I don't know, evening kind of a feel. And also it adds contrast, because this way the scene is still fairly dark. You don't get to see everything. It kind of adds to the kind of not mystery, but it adds to a little bit to the romantic feeling of the scene, and most importantly, lights the main actress that I'm getting in this shot nicely. So, and then the last thing that I did is I just added a small 100-watt light bulb just on the floor behind the woman over there, dressed in black. And that light, all it really does is it illuminates that back wall a little bit, so that it kind of accentuates. So because otherwise it looked really really dark in this restaurant. Now in this shot, this is basically a reversed angle of that same setting. So we're seeing the guy sitting at the table. And just to show you, like, this is basically the footage that comes straight off the camera. That's, you know, using whatever lights that were there in the restaurant. And you can, as you can see, it just looks, it looks kind of, maybe it doesn't look flat, but it looks boring. Basically, that's what it is. For sure, doesn't have like any kind of a romantic feel. So basically, for this scenario, I did the exact same kind of lighting scenario as I did for the reverse angle. The only thing is, the only difference is that I flipped all the lights around. And here's the final shot with all the lights in place. And as you can see it, I mean, right away it makes a big difference, I think. And that's pretty much it. And then here's the final edited sequence you can see together. So as you can see, it's basically the same thing that I've been sort of talking about in the first and second tutorial. It mainly comes down to shot design. I mean, you gotta really design your shots. You can't just put the camera in the first place that you think of and just think that it's gonna work. Sometimes it will, but most of the time it won't. So you gotta move the camera around, move the lights around, and sometimes, like you said in this case, move the actors and the tables and things around. Next, I'm gonna show you a little scene. I'm just gonna let you watch it for now.
I can't even afford a taxi to get us home, so we have to, like, walk the entire way back. I got home, I gotta fumble around for a bunch of candles.
So as you can see from this little clip, it's basically another flashback. We see what happens to one of the characters the night before. And for the most part the scene works, but basically one thing that doesn't really work, and that became really apparent in editing, was basically this one shot. The problem with this shot is not so much from a technical point of view, but more because it doesn't work for the story. So what we ended up doing is having to reshoot just this one shot. Now the great thing, of course, about the Canon 7D is the fact that it is such a small camera. You don't need a crew really with you. I mean, it could just literally go just with you and the camera and your actors, and you could shoot it pretty much anywhere, which is exactly what we did. This was after the film was actually shot. We went quickly, and within a half hour we basically found this right location, this tiny little alley. Used some very minimal lighting because, again, the camera is very good in low light situations, and I changed the scene in a few different ways. The first being that I added an extra actor in there, just so that, you know, two guys always a little bit more scarier and dangerous than one guy. Two, I placed them in a little alley because, again, it just makes the whole setting look kind of, you know, kind of more urban and dangerous. And here, if you look at the actual final sequence with the new shot in place, you'll see that it works a lot better technically and for the story.
I can't even afford a taxi to get us home, so we have to, like, walk the entire way back. I got home, I gotta fumble around for a bunch of candles. Get them all lit. By the time that's done, I'm so fucking tired, I can't even, like, get it up for like an hour.
Well, thank you guys for watching. Hope you learned something. In the next tutorial, I'm actually going to show you a few cool examples from a music video I shot recently, and from another film. And I'll actually show you some setups outside, and kind of explain how you can use the sun as well as HMI power lights or reflectors and that kind of thing to really make your shots stand out and just kind of add life to them. So stay tuned.